I'm Peter with Cradlepoint, part of Ericsson, and this is the Enlighten series. Now, the last time on the Enlighten series, we talked about RBI, or Remote Browser Isolation. And this time, we're going to talk about the other side, or Web Application Isolation, or WAI. So let's take a look at this. Let's light it up. All right, we have our person over here. Of course, they're on their trusty device. Let's give them a face this time, and maybe a hat. And then over here, we got our applications. Now, often these regular applications, you might have this is what it's generally used for. Your private applications could be SaaS applications over here, but, corporate apps. Now, generally, a user, again, they request the domain name in the browser or whatever the extension is. The application responds, and then everything over here, HTML, JavaScript, active content, videos, files, what have you, over here gets executed in the browser. Now, if this is an untrusted user, and kind of where we're going with this individual might have malware on the laptop or computer. They might be connected to a suspect Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff. The other thing is over here, connected directly to the application. This person might want to do things like a distributed denial of service attack, or a credential stuffing attack, or a SQL injection. They might even be able to look at the application code and figure out, oh, there's a vulnerability in that code or in that platform or something along those lines where they can cause some mischief over here. So, well, what do you want to do? Let's clean up a little bit of this on the light board. And like remote browser isolation, web application isolation is kind of the same concept. So instead of having the application go directly to the browser, or I should say the user being able to connect directly to the application, let's basically put that application in an isolated cloud container. And so now what's happening is, one, we create an air gap between the user, the browser, and the and the applications itself. If you think about it, especially if this is, these are perfect for a third party or contractors or supply chain. They need access to inventory, SaaS applications, other types of content on the back end. But because they're a contractor, third party, it's an unmanaged device. There is zero trust. We don't trust this guy. We trust them from a supplier standpoint, but that's about it. Even then, even a managed user, we want to create this air gap and zero trust. Like, that's the whole idea of zero trust is, verify first and then continually checking to make sure they haven't broken that trust. Now, what's happening here is everything on this application, maybe these applications got to talk to databases on the back end. Maybe they got to fetch other stuff from other locations. So all this simply gets created with a bunch of pixels here in this isolated cloud container. And all that's happening really is just, it's streaming those pixels to the browser over here. Now, if this individual wants to try some funny stuff, thinking they might be able to attack the application. Now, of course, thousands, tens of thousands, potentially hundreds of thousands of lines of code for many of these applications and SaaS applications. When it gets isolated in here, it's, I think, I've seen it like less than 100 lines of code. So you can't get any intel from this back here. You can't plant any, 0 days or long-term kind of lateral movements, or you want to snoop around for a while. You just can't do it. Like remote browser isolation, we have a lot of control within this isolated cloud container. And so we're talking things like data loss prevention, controlling what they can or cannot upload over here. If you think about supply chain and inventory and stuff, they may need to enter quantities or prices or locations for delivery, whatever that may be. And you can control all that. Data loss prevention, also CDR, so sanitizing any files. Maybe there is something of malicious intent over here. It gets sanitized in there and then sent on to the user. Obviously, like things like copy paste, the clipboard, a number of functions you can control what they can and can't do on that back end. And again, it goes back to the fact that this is an unmanaged device. You don't know how dirty this thing might be, and you just don't want it connected directly to your critical infrastructure. And even, some of these other things. Now, some people have, kind of asked along the way, can web application isolation replace a web application firewall? And they're kind of two different use cases, really. WAFs are used really to protect the application from the entire internet at large, bots and mischievous and ransomware, just the works. Where web application isolation, you could certainly do it for the entire internet, but really the point is to kind of control and allow unmanaged devices, unmanaged access to sensitive resources that they need a bona fide, requirement to gain access to this. So we got our air gap, we got zero trust, we're protecting the application and controlling this access from unmanaged devices, third parties, contractors, what have you. Web application isolation. Of course, if you'd like to learn more about, one more thing, sorry. So oftentimes this might be called private remote access, privileged remote access, things like that. And so you're really just kind of allowing access to one piece back here, whether it's, data center, SaaS, cloud. Now, the application still functions as normal. There also may be, you might have seen large language models getting incorporated into these back-end systems for things like chatbots, support, customer experience, all the Gen AI stuff. And so these are going to be, back there too. And you definitely want to create that air gap, with some of this new technology that's coming along. You can obviously learn more at Cradlepoint. That says Cradlepoint on there, cradlepoint.com. Always sign your artwork. I'm Peter. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy content like this, I highly encourage you to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share. I'm Peter, and I'll see you next time on the Enlighten series.